Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs Podcast presented by DraftKings, America's top-rated sportsbook. Download the app. Use the promo code CHGO when you sign up. Cubs lose to the Mets 10-1. Luke Stuckmeyer, Cody Del Mendo from beautiful Studio B here in the West Loop, our CHGO studios.
It is the most beautiful of the studios, like as far as like a room.
And my favorite chairs, a little more comfortable than the other ones, but
however, it does get a little hot in here. That's the one downfall.
It's get a little toasty, but it's colder tonight.
Yeah.
So we get a lot to talk about. Sorry, we're a couple minutes late. For those watching the live YouTube feed, we appreciate you. Thanks for being in the chat. Make sure you subscribe to our CHGO Sports YouTube page. 5-star review, thumbs up only, please. We love you for that. If you're listening
only
in podcast form, also positive reviews. We love you on Spotify and Apple and all the other ways we listen. So the Cubs were going for their first 3-game winning streak since April. Didn't happen. Are you happy with 2 out of 3?
I am.
Satisfying?
I think I said that on our pregame show on Monday.
Well, I wondered if it changed.
Well, I mean,
because
yeah,
of the fashion of a 10-1 whooping.
Well, yeah, whatever. I don't know. I said to you on pregame on Monday, you were like, it'd be nice to get, to sweep the Mets and the Reds. And I'm like, yeah, I'd sign me up for that. But realistically, I think that they could win the 2 series. And now they get the Reds tomorrow. And you took 2 of 3.
Don't lose 2 out of 3 to the Reds, though.
Yeah, you can't lose 2 out of 3 against the Reds. But to answer your question, no, I'm not. I don't feel any different. Like, I'm happy they won the series. And to get where the Cubs want to be, where we want the Cubs to be, it all starts with just winning series. So you're not going to win every series, but to win a series against a team like the Mets, who, they're not playing the greatest baseball yet. I mean, I guess they did win 5 in a row coming into this series, but the highest payroll in baseball, all the money they spent, the fact that they won 2 out of 3 against that team is a positive sign. And I think this series was very telling of how the Cubs are going to start making their lineups, how they're going to start managing their bullpen moving forward. And we'll see how things look over the next couple of weeks. And I guess I could reevaluate how I feel about the Cubs then. But right now I feel pretty good about them after winning 2 out of 3. Tonight sucked in terms of just the vibe. Like, it was a buzzkill. We lose 10-1, but every team has these games, you know what I mean? And the Cubs, fortunately, haven't had a lot of these this year. They had the 2 against the Twins, and wasn't there 1 against the Astros too, I want to say?
I don't remember which team it was.
I want to forget the Astros series, but I know there's 2 against the Twins for sure that was like this. The point is they haven't had a lot of games like this, and as much as those heartbreaking 1-2 run losses have been, you'd rather have those than these in terms of, knowing how competitive this team can be. So, bounce back tomorrow. You got Justin Steele, your ace, or 1A, 1B ace tomorrow. And, Friday, 120. Hopefully the sun's out and maybe the wind will blow out a little bit for our hitters. I don't know. But, yeah, I feel good.
They didn't play a great game. It was 6 hits and 2 errors.
Right.
So that tells you all you need to know. But the storyline really of this game, when you look back on it after the season, Kyle Hendricks' first start in 11 months. Mm-hmm. So he comes in, has a rough first inning, which is very Kyle Hendricks, so I wasn't surprised by that. 5 1/3 or 4 1/3 is what he finished, right? 4 1/3. Gave up the 3 earned runs, 5 runs total. I've seen everything in the chat from satisfaction, people saying not bad, it was soft hitting, to the Godfather Michael Collada saying he's washed up, move on, bring in a prospect. So
just so he can be out on the prospect after 1 outing.
That's
how I know the Godfather.
Washed up, thanks for the memories, now bring him a prospect. He's now a substitute teacher, he followed up with. I would err on the side of, I'm not going to err on the Collada side of the Hendricks story yet. Okay?
Yeah.
He hadn't pitched in a big league game in almost a year.
Yeah.
Prior to that, he wasn't pitching well because of the same injury. So it's been over a year since he actually pitched in a game that mattered without pain. They didn't pound him, okay? It wasn't one of those games where Kyle Hendricks was off and they launch 400-foot homer after 400-foot homer because he doesn't throw hard.
Yeah.
The Mets decided to choke up on the bat and basically just like play a game of pepper after the first inning. It worked.
The second time through the lineup, they adjusted.
They waited for the changeup, and they were like, "Oh, we'll just slap it into right because we know it's sooner or later the changeup's coming."
Right. And I was saying this to you when we were waiting for the White Sox guys to finish when we were talking about
their fault.
When we were talking about Hendricks. This has been Kyle Hendricks, like, in a way, flaw, if you want to call it that, his entire career. Like, he plays to contact. He is, like, sure, he's had some games where he's had a lot of strikeouts. He can do it. When he's got that changeup going, he can get a lot of swing and miss. But Kyle Hendricks, more often than not, is a guy who's trying to get ground balls, soft contact. And when you have a defense like the Cubs have, you should be able to get most of the ground balls or most of those the hits that we saw in that third inning. I screenshotted what was on Baseball Savant of what happened, and the hardest hit ball of those 4 singles was like 93 miles per hour. Most of them were very soft, like the Pete Alonso blooper, basically. Honestly, it was more of a fly ball, but the outfielders were playing back because it's Pete Alonso.
Right.
And of course it drops because, baseball. So am I making excuses for Kyle Hendricks? In a way, just because of his first start since last July. But this conversation is the one thing about Kyle Hendricks that you can always say, like, well, Brendan says it all the time, especially about the Cubs bullpen guys, right? Like, we need more swing and miss because if more guys put the ball in play, then more things can happen, and that can blow up an inning, right? Kyle Hendricks, he had good innings. The second inning was a lot better than the first. He had 2 strikeouts in the second inning, and even the first inning wasn't that bad considering he allowed a hit and walked 2 guys to load the bases, and then he got out of the inning only allowing 1 run. But that's like that third inning basically sums up like the downsides of Kyle Hendricks in terms of if a couple guys get on, well, can he get the strikeout? Can he get the swing and miss like you need? And sometimes he can, and sometimes he can't. And I'll be honest, like, he hasn't done it a lot since 2020 ended. So again, only 1 start, and again, you're not asking Kyle Hendricks to be 2016, 2017 Kyle Hendricks with the rotation you have right now. You have a really good rotation with Stroman and Steele and Smiley. If I said to Luke when we were sitting on the couch, if you can get basically what you're getting out of Hayden Wesneski from Kyle Hendricks, then you're probably okay. And you're probably going to get a lot less soft contact because there wasn't really a lot of hard hit balls against Kyle Hendricks tonight. So in a way, it was already in some aspects better than what Hayden Wesneski has given the Cubs so far this year. Yeah, Hayden Wesneski will strike out more people, but there's a reason he's in Iowa. He's giving up a lot of hard contact, and his swing and miss is down. So all I'm saying is if he's able to give the length that some of Hayden Wesneski's starts have had and just give them a guy that they can feel confident in putting out there every 5th day and give quality innings. For the first start, 4 1/3, I literally said on pregame, 4 or 5 innings, I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't play great defense behind him. He's a contact guy. What you said is totally right. It's not 2016. You're not asking the guy to start Game 7. You're nowhere near Game 7 of the World Series. He's nowhere near the guy that was pitching in 2016. That Kyle Hendricks doesn't exist anymore. You're not expecting him to be a 1, a 2, a 3, or a 4. You're hoping, maybe not even expecting, you're hoping he can be a 5.
Yeah.
You're hoping that maybe every third time out he gives you a vintage Kyle Hendricks, 6 innings, 1 run, and a nice start. That's the upside of what you're looking for. Do we all realize that, yes, this could be his swan song with the Cubs? Yes. Yes, we do. He does too. The Cubs do too. But just what happened tonight doesn't influence the way that outcome is going to play out at all. It doesn't influence the way I feel about whether or not he'll be able to be productive at all this season, because it had been such a long time. His first Iowa start was horrific. This was not horrific. This was bad defense. This was a guy whose changeup did make some guys look stupid. So
he went over on the strikeout props tonight. If you took it, I know people in the pregame chat said that they were taking it.
Taylor McGregor made the point about this is also his first major league live game with the pitch clock. Doesn't mean he hasn't ever pitched with the pitch clock, because
he didn't have the spring training to be able to.
That's right,
figure that out.
But
right?
and he's got it in Iowa. But like
in Iowa,
I still understand it's different at the major league level. It's different when your heart rate, even though he's Kyle Hendricks, might be up slightly, even though we can't see it. Right? Like, we'll never know, but his heart rate might have moved. It might have beat once or twice while he was on the mound. I'm just saying, I wouldn't pack it up on Hendricks this season over tonight's start. It just wasn't. Yeah. It wasn't that much doom and gloom. It was decent.
Yeah, I mean, on social media, at least I sent a tweet talking about like if you're screaming irrationally about Kyle Hendricks' start tonight, then like I don't know what to tell you, because I don't know how anyone could have any expectations for a guy who didn't pitch for almost a year. So. But no one, like most people in my replies were like, yeah, he was, it wasn't bad. It wasn't great. It was fine in terms of like what you're trying to expect. Now, if we're sitting here in, what is it, May 25th, if we're sitting here June 25th and he's given up bomb after bomb, has a home run problem, and is not even going 5 innings consistently, then yeah, I'll probably be thinking about when is it Ben Brown time, or when is Wisniewski going to get another chance, or something like that.
Still might come.
I said earlier on some show within the last month that I would give Kyle Hendricks a 5-start stretch just to see what you got. And you know what? The Cubs are probably going to give him more than 5, but if it's me, I give him 5. The only reason I think the Cubs will give him a longer stretch is just because he's Kyle Hendricks, and the way that they've looked at veterans this year and even last year, like I wouldn't be surprised if they gave him 10 starts. They tried to get 10 starts out of him and see if they can figure something out with him. But I do like the pitching, with Tommy Hotovy and all that. Like they've helped guys bring the best out of them. We've talked about that a lot with certain guys. Justin Steele, some of these guys in the bullpen that have pitched well. And Drew Smiley, and like the pitching coach has something to do with that, and the infrastructure with some of these guys in Iowa that we'll eventually see, and hopefully they pitch well. Like I feel confident with the pitching coaches that will help Kyle Hendricks get back to where he needs to be.
Which isn't old Kyle Hendricks.
He's not even really that old.
It's part of Kyle. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the Cubs getting Maddox back the second time. I'm not comparing Kyle to one of the greatest pitchers of all time, although he's been compared to him a lot in his career, because he's about pitching and not about necessarily velocity. Yes, Maddox threw harder than Hendricks, but and he's a Hall of Famer. My point was that when he came back to the Cubs at the end of his career, you had games that weren't good, but you also every once in a while would watch a Maddox game and be like, damn, if that isn't still Greg Maddux every once in a while out there. That's where the Cubs are at. They don't have a pitching prospect right now. Killian isn't knocking on the door begging to be called up again, right? Mm-hmm. Like
Ben Brown is the only one.
That's the guy. But there's still time for that, right? Like if Wisniewski was dealing, he'd still be here. Mm-hmm. If Killian was just destroying AAA, he might be here sooner rather than later.
Even Keegan Thompson, if the starting rotation depth really, like if Hendricks wasn't ready and Keegan Thompson was pitching like he was last year, he probably would have got a start or two in there. You know what I mean? But that's a different story.
They're just not counting on Kyle Hendricks to be pitching in 3 years. I don't believe that they're like, well, Kyle, pencil in Kyle as a starter in 2026. I don't think that's happening. No. But don't rule out that he can be productive this season and still be something that potentially helps this team hang around 500. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what Kyle Hendricks' future is going to look like after this year, but
he's got a better shot of being successful than my voice does tonight, let me tell you.
I'll say this, that seeing him pitch in some meaningful games in September would be a great end to his Cubs tenure if this year is the last. And he hasn't been able to pitch in meaningful games in September the last 2 years. So I hope he pitches well enough as the season goes along to where he's doing that. So, and when it comes to playing meaningful games, well, Milwaukee lost tonight. So the Cubs don't lose ground, they don't gain ground. So anyway.
Zelf Anonymous wants a manager change.
Y'all want Joe Girardi to manage, even though he just got fired last year by the Phillies in the midseason, and then they played better without him.
That's always about the local tie. Everyone loves that.
Yeah, Collada wants Rhino. He wants Billy Williams hitting coach.
Oh, just hire Ben Zobrist
the pitching coach.
Let's get Ben Zobrist in the dugout.
Why not Fergie, the pitching coach?
Aren't the White Sox like a perfect example of why that's not a great idea, Steven?
Yes, definitely yes.
I'm just saying. All right.
You know what?
Craig says Wicks is on the way too. Jordan Wicks, he pitched well tonight in Tennessee. He's on. I regret to say this, but I keep forgetting about him too. But it's only because he's in Double-A and he hasn't got that call to Triple-A yet. And I'm actually a little surprised by it because he is obviously a dude's first round pick a couple years ago, and he's shown positive signs throughout his minor league career. So those two, him and Ben Brown, are the two.
Cody, tell us about Pins and Aces. I noticed the sweet Pins and Aces hat back here.
You just want to ignore everything I just said.
No, I heard it.
You're so intrigued about Pins and Aces, which I understand because I love their hats like this one.
I saw that.
I have a hat at home. I wear it on the show all the time. I have like a Hawaiian that I got from there in my closet. I have a polo that I saw laying around this office that I took home because no one else took it.
Is that the one that Herb was looking for?
It's blue and white. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he stole Herb's polo.
Oh, I can bring it back in. I haven't worn it yet. So, anyway, you can go to Pins and Aces.
There's some bugs on it from a scooter ride, but other than that,
I literally haven't worn it yet. I haven't worn it yet.
Cody was also eyeing an extra case of Pocket Pilsner the other night.
I forgot to take that. I actually might do that after the show. Don't tell Jake. Anyway, Pins and Aces is the official golf apparel partner of ALLCITY and CHGO. We love our Pins and Aces gear. You get tons of compliments on and off the course. They are a family-owned golf apparel business. They make amazing polos, like I just said, and hats, like I said. And Steven, I know you're into the golf bags or the sleeves or whatever.
The beer sleeve, and more importantly, the liquor stick. I just got back from Scottsdale.
Yeah.
That thing is awesome. I snuck it onto the course.
What is that?
It holds up to 750 milliliters of alcohol, and it's got this really nice smooth dispensing pour. I bought a bunch of Sprites to the course, and then I put the head cover over the liquor stick so it just looked like a club.
Yeah.
Press a little button on top, mix drinks in the course.
Yeah, wow.
It was great.
It's an innovative product that allows you to store 7 beers right inside your golf bag and keep drinks cold in the entire round.
Does Steven know about the benefits of the beer sleeve?
I mean, there's a lot of benefits.
Well, the hockey guys are.
Oh, you're talking about the beef sleeve.
They're calling it the beef sleeve. They put Italian beefs in that baby and it keeps them warm.
Yeah. Anyway, you guys can get your beef sleeve. You can get your beef sleeve or beer sleeve or the polos, the hats, whatever, at pinsandaces.com. If you use code CHGO, you'll receive 15% off your first order. You get free shipping, which is clutch considering the high taxes of our economy right now. So that's pinsandaces.com. Use code CHGO. Luke, if we had Fubo, or we have Fubo, I know you have Fubo.
I do. Yeah, right on my phone right here.
And we watched Marquee on it tonight.
Yep. It's beautiful.
On your phone.
On my phone. You can watch it on the iPad. I could put it on any TV, smart TV. I just watch it at home. Or this summer, you're running around, you got a lot of stuff going on, take it with you. Take it with you wherever you want to go. Take it with you to Wrigley Field.
Beautiful and historic.
Then you can watch the replays. You don't have to look back at the Jumbotron. You look right down at your phone. 140 plus live channels of sports, shows, movies, and news. Stream live TV from any device. Watch the most Chicago sports for the lowest price. Start watching right away with a 7-day free trial. Can't beat that. No contract, no cable, no hassle. Sign up and go. 1,000 hours of cloud DVR included, no extra charge. Watch your local teams while traveling. You've got the French Open coming. You've got the NBA playoffs and NHL playoffs going on right now, getting close to the Stanley Cup final and the NBA finals, although Celtics won, I believe, right?
I wanted to ask you guys. I don't know who won that game.
Yeah,
it was like 20
Boston's
points. Jimmy was
out.
out of the game in the fourth quarter and just wearing a shirt.
Ugh.
Not hurt, just it was over.
Yeah.
So that's going to go to at least 6. And, of course, watch the Cubs on Marquee with Fubo TV. Use the link in the description to sign up for 15% off your first month of Fubo Pro.
What's going on in the chat?
Well, the chat has turned on Jim Deshaies, Marquee,
Vanilla Chill says we
David
should have,
Ross, Chet Hoyer.
Vanilla Chill says Boog should be the manager. It'd be very analytically based if he was, because he loves the analytics. So that would piss off all the boomers, I'm sure.
Anthony Lombardi says that liquor stick's the greatest invention in the history of golf.
It really is. I mean, move aside driver, liquor stick is here to stay. Also, actually, I'm going back to the Pins and Aces right now. They have this thing called the shot tee, where you like pop it into your beer, hit your tee shot, and then you shotgun it. I'm thinking Cody should start doing that after wins.
It's used to pop the hole for the shotgun.
Yeah, I did a couple of them at the course, and actually hit the ball really far too. I might just stop using teas and start using beers from now on.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Cody.
That's going to be a no for me, dog. I can't shotgun.
Come on, Cody.
I can't shotgun.
You're getting better. You got 10.5 seconds yesterday.
On a chug, like coming out of a bat, like I promise you, I can't go that far. But
we'll work on it.
I'll gladly use some golf tees from Pins and Aces on the golf course, though.
One thing I don't need to see again is Joey sticking his tooth into the can and shotgunning it that way. It was fun to see once, but I feel like we're going to have some sort of emergency on our hands. Seems like a bad idea. Michael Collada, how about this? What's he say?
He says, I probably don't have much time left on this planet, so forgive my impatience.
He wants the prospects. He says, call him up.
He wants the prospects. He wants the Cubs to win every single game. I hear you. I hear you, Godfather. You're the man. I hear you. What else?
I was going to ask you, where were you for the Tucker Barnhart pitching game?
I was on the couch watching and hoping that he had never pitched in another game, so I could then compare his career ERA with one Yadier Molina, and unfortunately, he has pitched in a game and gave up a run, so he doesn't have a career ERA of 0.0, but his season ERA is 0.00.
Craig Brindle busting on Collada for not spelling Sandberg correctly. You still have time to learn how to spell Sandberg.
Damn, Craig.
Wow. Respect your elders, Craig.
Vanilla Chill says, if Jim Leland still has a pulse, should be our next manager. I haven't heard that name in forever.
Jim Leland is left the
I'm
planet.
not sure if he does have a pulse.
No, I don't believe so. The Tucker Barnhart game. So my question is we're watching that.
Yeah. The Tucker Barnhart pitching game.
I'm all about faster games.
Oh, yeah. That game
which I like the pitch clock, even though it hasn't trimmed off like an hour off the game like I would appreciate.
On a consistent basis. I would like the game to be an hour shorter. At least I don't
2 hour games are just spectacular.
We haven't had a 4 hour game, so.
No, it's shortened the long games.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd take another 5 seconds off the pitch clock. Anyways, John Kruk, I know, disagrees. He says the game's a circus now.
Yeah.
Here's what I think. We're watching Barnhart pitch, and we're laughing, and we're having a good time.
Yeah.
Is it worth having the option of teams just saying, we're good, slaughter rule? Or would you rather see that opportunity where the game means nothing, but you've got your catcher in there pitching,
so
and everybody's laughing? I mean, it's a mockery of the game, right? Like it's you're not really watching the game, but you are. So should there be a slaughter rule or a forfeit? It's late. We got a game tomorrow. See you later. Thanks. You guys win. Like you could set a level of you're down 10 runs and there's an inning left to play. We're good.
Yeah, I mean,
I have an opinion that I think will surprise you. But give me yours.
Just in the moment right now, I like watching the position player pitching. Is it good for the game? Like they literally made a rule so that position players pitching doesn't happen as much as it had been in recent years, right? So if it goes back to like
Leland is alive. He's 78.
Oh, congratulations. My favorite part of learning that is the hope.
He used to smoke a lot in the dugout. I know that.
I personally don't think there should be a slaughter rule in Major League Baseball. I'll just leave it at that.
It's not Little League. I'm with you on this, Cody. And I know that seems odd because I like a faster game. Here's what you get because you don't have a slaughter rule. First of all, if it's like tonight and you don't want to see Tucker Barnhart pitch, turn off the TV or go home. Okay, that's the first option. Nobody's forcing you to stay at the ballpark other than the players who are getting paid lots of money to be there.
Right.
Or just turn off the TV or the radio.
Yeah.
Okay? But for those of us that find it funny, and even some of the players, it's entertainment. At the end of the year, I'll remember two things about this game. Hendricks pitched, it didn't go well, and Barnhart pitched. That's it. It's all I'll remember. I won't remember who was 1 for 4, who had 2 walks. I won't remember the foul ball or the line drive or the double or the triple. I won't remember any of it. But I will remember that Barnhart got a guy on a 39-mile-an-hour pitch, and everybody laughed, including him.
And celebrated.
The sport is still about fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it was the other way around, the Cubs were winning 10-1, you would want to keep watching them bat.
Yeah.
And see how many runs they could score. And if you're at the park, even more so.
Or
It's fun to see if the batter's going to hit one 800 feet or if he's going to strike out and be embarrassed for the rest of his life.
Yeah. Especially, there's nothing that's ever going to convince me that there should be any kind of slaughter rule in Major League Baseball. You don't have a slaughter rule in any of the other professional sports. We've seen in the NBA, the NFL, blowouts, just like embarrassing blowouts for games, and no one's complaining about a slaughter rule, So, yeah, I do like the rule they placed so that there aren't as many position players pitching all the time. But, yeah, I mean, this is a game that we'll forget about over the next week.
Plus, Fix, I'm not saying watching the Cubs lose 10-1 was fun. I'm saying the only fun part of the game
was Barnhart
Kyle Hendricks, a couple strikeouts, and then Barnhart getting some goofy outs.
Yeah.
That was it.
Right.
That's what I will remember from this game.
Yeah.
And if it were flipped, like Steven said,
and Swanson hitting a homer,
we would all enjoy it.
Yeah. For the first, it was also the first game where Swanson didn't hit a homer into the basket. It actually went into the seats. So,
Craig doesn't like the slaughter rule. Evil Wax says Hendricks pitched pretty good. I don't disagree with the bad luck and the beneficiary, although they were just smart hitters.
Yeah.
But
they have a good lineup, right?
Pitched okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
It was okay.
I don't know.
What about the rest of the bullpen?
Barnhart
was great.
Yeah. Barnhart was the best.
No, Hughes was good.
Hughes was good. He got him,
and that's a good sign.
He came in that 5th inning. All right, so this let me put it down for you. We'll try to get my memory correct here, right? I believe Kyle Hendricks struck out the first batter he faced. Then he allowed a hit. Then he hit, I believe it was Pete Alonso. He hit him. He hit him with a pitch. So he had 2 on. And Dave Ross comes and get him. This is in the 5th inning. So he leaves with 4 1/3. Brandon Hughes comes in. You got runners on 1st and 2nd, and then so whoever's at 2nd tried to steal 3rd, and Gomes threw the ball like it was a bad throw. He rushed it. Shouldn't have even thrown it. And so the ball goes in the outfield, and he scores. But outside of that, Brandon Hughes got 2 outs, and he didn't allow a run himself. So I thought that was a good building moment for him in terms of like being used in big moments, which is something he was used last year. So I don't know. No Chill says,
yeah,
Jed
good stuff.
And I have found the closer in Barnhart. Hey.
Collada wants one. Now there's your answer. Who's the closer tomorrow?
Yeah, Barnhart. But yeah, I thought Hughes was good. I thought Rucker was fine until, the end. And the only reason he was in the game as long as he was because David Ross was trying to basically use him like Javier Assad to eat innings. Yeah. And trying to preserve the bullpen to not, because the game was lost. The game was over. I think we've seen him pitch 2 innings before. More often than not, he's probably more of a 1-inning guy if you use him in any kind of high leverage situation. But given what the game was, it doesn't bother me that he gave up all those runs. It's just more of like whatever. But I thought before he started doing that, I think it was 1 or 2 innings where he was pretty good. So that was, that was good to see. And then, whatever. I don't understand. Like Gary, I don't know if you're in the chat, Gary, but you tagged me, Luke, and Ryan. Like, why are we putting Assad in a blowout? That was probably the one thing from David Ross tonight that I really didn't understand was actually putting Assad in to get 1 out in a game that's a blowout when you might need to use him. On
just
Saturday
let Rucker eat it for 1 more.
Yeah, or just put Barnhart on the mound. Then you know what I mean. Like, what's the point of him getting 1 out and then putting Barnhart in at the top of the 9th?
Well, it's not like Assad wouldn't be available tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean he'll still be available, but these are wasted bullets, man. Like, what's the point of having him get that out? To me, that's when they should have put Barnhart on the mound, was right then and there, or just let Rucker just keep trying to get that final out. You know what I mean?
The Godfather says hit the like button. I mean, he's right. Where else can you have this much fun after a 10-1 loss? Rucker, you out on Rucker? A lot of people in the chat not liking Rucker.
He's had some good moments this year, but it's been rough of late. But again, like he was okay in the first couple innings. Yeah,
I feel like he's a 1-inning guy. He was in there for 3 because.
And do I feel good with him in high leverage right now? No. I hope that answers your question.
He's not your next closer.
No.
We can agree on that.
But we've seen him be good before.
Yeah.
So I'm not out on him. But yeah, I like Jacob's comment here. If Hughes gets going, he could be the closer. He just has that feeling of a closer in my eyes, the closest thing we have to one. I like half of the first sentence. If Hughes gets going. And the part of that, the reason I say it's that half is because they need Brandon Hughes to get going because of Keegan Thompson not being here, they need Brandon Hughes to be what he was last year. I don't necessarily think he's a closer type, but he did close games for the Cubs last year and did pretty well in the role. So maybe, but I just don't know what the Cubs are going to do when it comes to like who's closing. So Collada, you're going to ask, did Jed say who's closing tonight in every postgame show the rest of the year? I don't think we're going to be able to answer the question unless they go get one at the deadline, which I don't think they will because they're not in World Series contention. So I'm hoping, this is what I'm hoping. I'm hoping Daniel Palencia, Bailey Horn, some other name that I'm probably missing. Cody Hoyer, and someone else that I'm not thinking of. One of those 3, at some point in 2023, they're the closer. That's what I'm hoping.
Speaking of Cody Hoyer, Madrigal sent down before the game. It was Madrigal and Hoyer for Kimbrel. I heard the Sox guys, as we were waiting for them to wrap up,
they were breaking down the trade and how it's dead now.
Is the trade dead for you? Is it a wash? And
Kurt says Cam Sanders. Yeah, I forgot about Cam Sanders. Thank you, Kurt.
I can't go there yet, Steven. I can't go wash. Do I think Madrigal and Kimbrel are a wash? Yes. Cody Hoyer could still win this trade for the Cubs by becoming a key piece to their bullpen.
I agree 100%. I think, and I said it yesterday on yesterday's show as well, I think he was the piece that I was like, that's the one I didn't want to give up, even for Greg Kimbrel at the time. But I think, especially given what we know now about the other players involved in this is the best piece. This is the one that has upside, that there's something to look forward to.
Yeah.
And I understand Sean's take in that he might not have a role in the current Sox bullpen, at least a closer role, enough for it to be the Cubs would win. My counterpoint to that would be, well, A, we don't know if he'd be hurt. So if he wasn't hurt, if he hadn't hurt his arm, he may have progressed to the point where he already was your closer, and you would have moved Hendricks at the end of last season.
Yeah, I agree.
And you also, if you had Cody Hoyer healthy and he was developing as you guys saw him developing, you also might not need to spend money on Kelly or somebody else, and you could have spent it a little bit more if you actually spent money on an outfielder if you actually somebody that wasn't just a DH.
They committed so much money to the bullpen, and it hasn't even worked out. I mean, Cody Hoyer in 2020 comes up during the COVID season, and he's just dominant. Mm-hmm. He's looking great, and we don't know what to expect. He's got an upper 90s fastball. He mixes in good secondary pitches. He gets outs. He wasn't too erratic. He wasn't giving up too many walks, and those are things that you kind of let pass by for a young player in that situation. We didn't have to deal with it. He was one of the pieces in that pen I was really confident in.
Yeah, this is what I think about Cody Hoyer, is that if he can get to be like a high leverage arm for the Cubs over the next year or two, whatever, then the Cubs win the trade. But I think the only thing about the trade that kind of still leaves me a little bummed is that Craig Kimbrel was so good in 2021, that first half. The fact that they only got Cody Hoyer and Nick Madrigal's
because closers get you so much. I'm just going to guess. I think part of it is most teams realized that was a mirage.
Oh, yeah.
They weren't all fooled by it. That was a great, they hoped, and you get desperate teams, but maybe they didn't go crazy because they saw what he was before that.
Yeah. That's the only thing about this trade that, I sit here and I'm just kind of, bummed about, is that I feel like, considering how good he was in that first half, the Cubs could have got more. But
I don't think we'll ever say the Cubs lost the trade.
No, there's no way you can now.
No,
not. Even if Hoyer doesn't pitch well, it would just be a bag of nothing.
In that scenario, you just shed salary.
Are you surprised that Madrigal has not hit as well as he did with the White Sox?
Honestly, not at all. Because
really,
the reason you're saying that is because you expected a higher batting average, right?
We never expected power.
Correct.
Well, okay.
But his batting average and on-base percentage are...
What we did get from him is he was lining balls into right field, soft line shots right into right. Teams adjusted to it. And, you can't shift towards it anymore. But, what did you expect? The guy doesn't hit the ball hard. You just shift over a little bit.
I read his slash line on the pregame show.
Yeah, I was listening to that.
He hit over 300, had an on-base of 350, and slugged over 400 in the 54 games with the White Sox in 2021. He's not done anything close to those on base or slugging for the Cubs at all.
Correct. Granted, it was a small sample size with the White Sox.
It was 215 at bats, Steven.
That's not that many. It's a third of a season.
Hey, you got to give him. You got to give him this too. He has had an injury to his lower half.
Torn hamstring. That's a really big injury. It ended his season.
It may have. I don't want to say this, knock on wood, but it may have totally altered his career.
Maybe.
It very well could have, because he was on a really good trajectory at that point. But no, the power was never going to be there. The guy is also in a really tough spot, not just on the White Sox, but the Cubs as well, even more so on the Cubs. He's playing a position he never played. And sure, it was better than I expected. I remember I saw him make a diving play at third, Cody, and I said, okay, I take it back. He could play at third base.
That's the only thing Madrigal has done this year that has been good, is playing a better third base than I expected. And the thing is I don't like Madrigal. I think Madrigal can be a good second baseman on a team that can play him every single day, which the Cubs aren't. You're not going to play Nick Madrigal over Nico Horner, all right? And you don't want to play a guy who hasn't hit a home run in 2 years at third base. There's just no spot for him on the Cubs, and that's why I said in pregame that the Cubs they need to trade him as soon as they can build some value on him in AAA. They need to trade him immediately, man. They can find other guys of his prototype to be on the bench in easier ways. Like, at least Miles Mastrobuoni freaking walks. He hasn't done a lot of hitting, but he's walked and he's gotten on base in different ways. And even Madrigal can't even walk. He's like a 3.1 walk rate.
He puts the ball in play a ton. But yeah, you're right about that. And that's always been the case, even going back to his college days. The guy never took walks because he's always making contact with the ball.
So I guess looking back at this trade, I had higher hopes for Madrigal, and I didn't really know what to expect out of Hoyer just because I didn't know too much about him. But after watching him in the second half of 2021, as in Cody Hoyer, it got me a little excited. And then, of course, Tommy John happened. So now we are at a point where we will see if he can be what the Cubs need him to be, which right now they need a high leverage reliever. So
I do know, as I said in the pregame, that hoping that Madrigal doesn't do well in AAA is foolish. There's no benefit to it. Like, I'm okay with if people wanted him demoted to AAA to work on things or not be on the roster, whatever. He only builds trade value by playing well in AAA or figuring it out and becoming some sort of piece in a puzzle somehow moving forward. Do I see that being very difficult? Yes. But I think it's a tougher fit on this team because they don't have the power. Yeah. So that's another problem.
Say something nice about Nick Madrigal. I would have loved Nick Madrigal in 2018. I would have loved him on the Cubs in 2018. Give the guy credit for
learning to play third base in the offseason. I know his career's on the line, but
yeah,
he did it.
Listen, if the guy had a little bit more power, he could play third base every day.
Yeah, how many players will tell you, too, when they're playing out of position, it kind of gets in their head and affects everything else.
Yeah.
Or players who haven't DH'd before, who are now DHing, they don't know what to do with their time, and it just messes everything up. I mean, this could very well be the case with Madrigal.
I kind of feel that way, too, because it's like the Cubs forced him to have to learn a new position, and then he definitely knew he wasn't going to play every day to start this year. So you're forcing a guy to play a new position, and also you're not getting consistent at bats. Like, I didn't have high hopes for Madrigal coming in this year just because there's just too many infielders on the team. And your two that you're starting every day, one's an all-star and one's going to be an all-star. So I don't know, man. I just hope Hoyer turns out to be something good so we can all look back and say, well, at least one of the guys in the trade was good.
You guys will be yelling, thanks, White Sox. Yeah, I'm sure.
Thanks, Sox.
It would be nice to be able to do that because, I mean, that bit was like 2 years too long, bro.
the Eloy part doesn't look nearly as bad. It's still Cease.
Speaking of Eloy, Jordan Wicks did strike him out tonight in Tennessee. So. There's the revenge. There's our revenge.
Cody, tell me about the ComEd Energy Efficiency Program.
Well, Luke, you see all these bright lights in here. Big part of it is because of the ComEd Energy Efficiency Program, which is committed to helping families and businesses in the communities they serve, helping manage energy usage and lower energy bills now and into the future.
ComEd offers a wide variety of incentives on lighting and other efficiency upgrades to commercial, industrial, and public sector customers of all sizes across their territory. They also offer free facility assessments that can help find energy-saving opportunities like for HVAC systems, commercial kitchen equipment, or industrial processes.
Ooh, how's it work?
Well, an authorized engineer will work with you to develop a detailed assessment plan specific to your goals and needs, in person or virtually. You pick. Then in 3 to 4 weeks, customers receive a detailed report with energy efficiency projects they can start working on right away. Each recommendation includes estimated energy savings, cost savings, project costs, potential incentives, and simple payback. If you own a business, this is for you. Get started saving money and energy today for energy saving tips, lighting incentives, or to schedule your facility assessment for free. Go to ComEd.com/poweringbiz.
Did you say ComEd.com/poweringbiz, Luke?
Yes, Cody. Do it today.
Oh, I will. And after that, I'll put my shady rays on when I look at these bright lights, or if I look at the Cubs box score from tonight.
Or 120, Friday.
Oh, yeah.
Sunshine.
Going to need your shady rays tomorrow if you're sitting in left field. If you're like my friend Kevin Wells, who was sitting in right field the other day, you might not need your shady rays because you suck and you won't have any. Only people in left field are the best. Sorry. Just kidding. Take on the sun with gear built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered for the warm weather ahead with premium polarized shades at an affordable price. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers a world-class product that's just as good as any expensive pair we've worn. Durable frames and extremely clear optics for outdoor adventures. That's not all. Shady Rays offers the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair of sunglasses is backed by lost and broken replacements. If you lose or break your pair, even on day one, they told us they would send you a brand new pair, Luke. No questions asked. Wear your Shady Rays with confidence because they have your back long after you purchase. Together with their customers, Shady Rays is providing much-needed support to nonprofit partners across the U.S. through Shady Rays Impact, from building play sets for pediatric cancer patients to providing young adults with MS the outdoor adventure of a lifetime. Shady Rays is making an impact in your community and others like it now and for years to come. If you don't love your Shady Rays, exchange for a new pair or return them for free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back. So, Shady Rays Memorial Day sale is live right now. Go to shadyrays.com and get 35% off all sunglasses. Try yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. So 35% off a pair of sunglasses.
I wore my Shady Rays in here today. Beautiful.
Yeah.
The polarized.
That's
Love them. Hey, we got a pregame show tomorrow at 12:45. Steele against Hunter Green. Steele still with a 2.20. How do you feel about starting things off right against the Reds?
Well,
I feel good.
I feel
personally.
pretty good, yeah. Justin Steele is, he had a great start on, Sunday? The Cubs lost 2-0 because their offense couldn't get going on Sunday in Philadelphia. And it was a bounce-back start for him because he didn't pitch particularly the best in Houston. So now you're trying to build off another streak of really good starts. So he's going for 2 straight quality starts. He's got the Reds. The Reds are a scrappy team. The Reds are, they're not great, but they're not Oakland A's bad. I'll tell you that. And they got some young players that are...
Nobody's Oakland A's bad.
Well, maybe the Kansas City Royals. But either way, the Reds have some guys. Hunter Green, I know they gave him a contract extension for a reason. Like, the guy throws gas, right? Spencer Steer's another guy that I'm intrigued about that plays third base for them. Jonathan India, Jake Fraley. They got a few dudes. Should the Cubs win this series? Yes, they should. They need to. If they want to make the playoffs, they need to win this series. But you can't lay an egg because a team like this can sneak up on you. They did against the Cardinals this week. They split with the Cardinals. They should have won today, to be honest.
Jacob with the good comment. Let's steal the series from the Reds. I love that.
I like that.
That's smart.
As the dad over there, he loves that.
I just want the Cubs. I was on the CHGO podcast, right? The Chicago Sports.
The CHGO Sports Podcast.
Today. You could find that on YouTube as well. I just want the Cubs to be hanging around 500 at least. Still as we get close to the trade deadline. Like, I know they're not going to ever be 10 games over 500 when they play the Sox in July, okay? But they could be at 500 and still keep it interesting enough that they don't have to tear it down again.
They're not going to tear it down.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody's like, well, what's their record now? I don't know. It's below 500, right? Like 5 games under?
22 and 27. Yeah.
I'm not worried about that. I just want them to stay within that distance. So don't go get swept by the Reds and then head out west and have a terrible road trip. Like, win the games you're supposed to win and get some of the ones you're not.
Well, they have the Reds this weekend, and then they have Tampa Bay next week as well.
Tough, so you better win some against the Reds.
You gotta win at least 2 against the Reds and hope and pray to God that you're able to at least win 1 against Tampa Bay. But then, they go to San Diego, Anaheim, and then San Francisco after that. So this, we talk about the schedule a lot. They should have played better against Miami. Should have played better against Washington. Should have played better against Miami again. Well, I guess they did. They won 2 of 3 in that series, but then lost 2 of 3 against the Cardinals.
That's reality, though, right?
Yeah.
That's the new baseball schedule. You don't get to beat up on the Pirates all season.
Yeah, the entire schedule is just tough everywhere. And so, I guarantee you no one here felt good about going. No one felt good going into this series against the Mets. So I agree, Luke. Yeah, they just got to hang around going into the All-Star break. You want to talk about teams that are under 500 right now. I'm looking at the standings. At least teams that spent a lot more money than the Cubs. The Padres are 23 and 27 right now. They spent a ton of money this offseason.
That's crazy.
You got Philly, who's 23 and 27 as well, and it's still annoying to me that the Cubs lost that series. The Mets, who we just beat, they're 26-25. Like, a lot of teams are just kind of hanging around. No one's really, the only team in the National League that is doing much of anything that might be, quote-unquote, looked at as running away with it is Atlanta and Los Angeles. They have Atlanta's 31 and 29, and then the Dodgers are 31 and 20. Arizona, surprisingly, 29-21. Not really the biggest surprise because I did like the young talent that they have, but they've played way better than I expected.
Good comment by Jacob. Say it has looked better, a lot better.
Oh yeah,
recently. You feel pretty good when he comes to the plate right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if Ryan's going to make it tonight. Let's do who you got.
Who you got? Did anyone win tonight? Because that game stunk.
Well, we can't take pitchers. Nobody took Kyle Hendricks. Joey took Gomes. He threw one into left field. I took Nico. I believe he had a hit.
Yeah.
I think Seiya had 2 hits. That's what I was going to say. I think it's probably you had Talkman, Ryan had Morel, Brendan had Happ. A bunch of guys had 1 hit, but I believe Seiya's the only guy with 2. Oh, speaking of,
he's here.
Herrera is here.
Hello.
How do you feel about that? Who you got, real quick, by the way? Seiya with 2 hits. Talkman, Morel, right? Suzuki, Happ, Nico, or Gomes?
I've got to say it'd be Suzuki, I think.
Yeah, I would.
Morel cooled off. I blame you for cooling him off yesterday.
He hasn't homered.
He did homer. He hasn't homered in 2 days. He got a hit today.
What was the feel of the clubhouse, David Ross? What did guys think of Kyle Hendricks?
Yeah, I think everyone's still kind of it's like you got to give him a little bit of runway. He hasn't pitched in this is the first time he pitched in almost 11 months. He's going to get a little bit of a leash, a little bit of runway to kind of, get back into a baseball rhythm after all that time off. But I think there were, David Ross pointed him out, Kyle pointed him out. There were points at this game where he looked obviously really good. Like that second inning that looked a lot more like Kyle Hendricks than like that first or third inning. And, even the third inning is soft contact, which, that's who he is, even though those were the balls that were finding outfield grass or getting past Nico at second base. He's a soft contact ground ball type pitcher. And, sometimes that comes with the territory, but, he hopes to be better. He hopes to just limit that kind of stuff and keep getting, called strikes on the outsides of the zone. But the changeup looked good at points too, like really good at points. The velo wasn't, that was a main thing, or not one of the main things, but that was definitely a point of emphasis during the recovery was the, getting velo up for him, back to kind of his, even a mile per hour or so higher than what it was last year. Didn't really see that today, but again, it's his first outing. He said, some of those were really good. Sometimes the mechanics were off and you could see the dip in the velo. So he feels like the more he gets back into a baseball rhythm, he thinks you'll start seeing more of that uptick in velo. Overall, I mean, it wasn't a good start. It wasn't really a bad start. It was like, okay, he went out there, did some good things, had some bad things happen. Now you just build off that and see what you can do. I think he won't pitch till after the Reds series, so he doesn't get to face the Reds lineup. But yeah, you see if he can build on this in his next start and all the starts moving forward.
What was your favorite part of the Barnhart inning?
Did he got someone to swing and miss, right? I think Actually, no. My favorite part was when they were counting every pitch he threw as a slider. I'm like, I didn't know Barnhart throws 48-mile-per-hour sliders. That's fun.
A lot of arc on those pitches. I think one of them was below 40 miles an hour. That's unbelievable. That's like our 16-inch softball league.
Yeah, we could use
Only
some
the ball
Tucker Barnhart
smaller.
on the softball team. I'll tell you that. He could be the pitcher. He could be the catcher.
What was said pregame about Madrigal going down? A lot of people seem to think there's a possibility that maybe it is the last time we see Madrigal in a Cubs uniform. David Ross, I know, didn't at least want to agree with that.
He didn't say it.
Yeah, no, that's not what David Ross said at all. It's kind of course, getting him a lot more at bats. Like he kind of gotten to that point now where he wasn't playing much. He was playing a little more sporadically than he did earlier in the season. And just David Ross kind of mentioned it. He just wasn't hitting as well as he wasn't hitting like at an insane level at all this year, but he was definitely hitting a little bit better earlier in the year than he was recently. So it kind of was a thing where get him every day at bats. He's still gonna play third base and second base down in AAA, but just get him a lot more playing time than he was getting up here. Just didn't feel like there was a lot of room on the roster right now for him and what he brings to the table. No, David Ross definitely did not agree that, or didn't say that this is the last we'll see of Nick Madrigal. He's gonna have to go down and work on some things. I think, an injury happens or something like that, he may be right back up. You never know. But yeah, I don't think David Ross feels that way, and he definitely did not outwardly say like we won't see Nick Madrigal for a little bit. Like he's gonna go down. He's gonna have to work on some things. He's gonna have to play a little bit better. But no, we will. I don't know when we'll see Nick Madrigal again, but I don't think this is the last time.
I think fans think that might be the case, but David Ross, based from the one little clip I heard, he basically was like, I think we'll see him back here pretty soon. Like they just want him to figure some stuff out. He's not playing enough to figure it out here. So there was no point in him being on the roster at this point.
My only rebuttal to that is it's telling that they sent him and not Miles Mastroboni. They both he basically stepped into the Madrigal role now.
But who could use the time at Iowa more right now?
Well, it's not like either one of their like numbers between the two of them are any better than the other.
If you are able to fix, I don't know. I would look at their 2 seasons and say Madrigal could use a trip to Iowa. There can't be any negative. Mm-hmm. There's no downside to it.
No,
You're not losing a ton off the major
disagree.
league level, and he might go down there and figure something out.
All I'm saying is that now Mastroboni is basically going to be getting those opportunities that Madrigal was getting with the Cubs now, and it's not like he was hitting the ball off the wall or anything like that. I mean, he's walking a lot more. That's the only reason that I liked him in the lineup more than Madrigal, because at least he was finding ways to get on base. But it's not like he is putting up unreal numbers to,
Did they get rid of the wrong guy?
do that.
McKinstry's been pretty good.
He had a great night for the Tigers tonight, I heard.
Yeah, he did.
Ryan shaking his head. No.
Wow, like who would have seen him? Who would have seen that coming? Honestly, like he didn't have a great year with the Cubs last year.
No, it's a small sample size too.
Yeah, it's small. Who would have seen that coming? Not me. I don't know.
I was a believer.
Any other nuggets, Ryan? I know you got to get back at the ballpark early.
Yeah, I mean, just well, I think the one thing I tweeted out was that Dansby Swanson finally hit a home run at Wrigley Field that didn't land in the basket. We didn't get a chance to talk to him after the game about it, but hey, maybe he hit it right into the wind too. Like the wind was blowing in from left field, and he hit it through the wind into the bleachers. So, and maybe that power stroke he's finally finding that right here at the end of May. I mean, he's got 5 home runs. I know we've had people in the chat saying he's a bust because he doesn't have like 15 by now, which always kind of made me laugh a little bit. But he might be finding it right now. He might be finding it.
He's going to give us a nice little hot streak here in June or July. But either way, like the value that he's brought to the team has already been better than two of the other 4 shortstops that were on the market last year. And I'm talking about Trey Turner and Carlos Correa.
Quick question for the 4 of us. Kevin Kadick asked me Will Morel hit 25 home runs this season? Yes or no? I say yes.
I'd say yes.
He had 16 last year.
Yeah.
What do you?
I could see it.
Yeah, I could see that happening.
25. It doesn't.
He's pretty
seem,
close to it now. If you
I
combine
don't expect him
Iowa,
to stay like hot like he was, but
I lean yes. I mean, he swings for it. Might as well. Makes contact. It's going to go a while.
I think he's up here for the season too.
he's
I don't
pretty
think
close
he's
to
going
20
back down.
now. If you combine Iowa, shit. So
I don't think they get to count those at the major league.
no, but I'm just saying that like
All right.
he's gonna hit 40 for the entire year if you count Iowa.
Craig agrees. Dansby the best value amongst the shortstops so far. All right, Ryan, thanks for jumping on. He'll have something for you at allchgo.com. Make sure you sign up, become a diehard. You won't miss any of Ryan's stuff.
You wrote about Stroman this morning, right?
Stroh Show.
So if you want to feel good, this one was a stinker. You want to remember
Forget about it.
you
Go
wanna-
back and read the Stroh.
Yeah, you want to remember your favorite part of this series? Go read about Marcus Stroman and how he's that guy, and the guy saying "guy" is the nice version, not what he really said to the Mets dugout last night. And then you go look at his replies to all the Mets fans and stuff on Twitter too.
Thanks for those of you that were in the live chat hanging with us after a 10-1 loss to the Mets. Thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by DraftKings, America's top-rated sportsbook. Download the app. Use the promo code CHGO when you sign up. And until the series opener against the Reds on Friday, 1:20, pregame show right here. Until then, fly the W.